Welcome everyone to the Ringside Culture Podcast with a passion for wrestling meets the heart of men's issues. This is something I've been thinking about for a long time. I just announced today that I'll be the host of this podcast. I'm excited for what this could become. You guys are starting with me right out of the gate, episode 1, day 1. Not a lot of followership, not a huge audience, but I appreciate so much those of you that are already following us on Instagram at Ringside Culture Podcast. I'll be posting all of our social links, my social media. If you want to reach out to me, you're welcome to. This is going to be a really cool process because, as I stated when I announced today that I was hosting, I think life sometimes is difficult for men because, well, studies show men nowadays have less friends, do less with their time outside of work and family, and don't really have an outlet, at least not a healthy outlet, to put stuff in. Wrestling has always been something that has been a constant. I first started watching wrestling when I was, I think 4 or 5 years old. I had just gotten to the United States from Puerto Rico. Spanish was my first language and my mother's first language. And when we first got to the US, really wrestling was the only thing on TV that my mom could watch, not have to understand what's being said, but could clearly understand what was going on. So it was super entertaining for her. She got super into it, which got me super into it. And it's been a love relationship since. I've ridden the ups and downs of the good times and the bad times of the WWE. I do watch other products, not just the WWE. I dabble, I keep up with AEW, keep up with Ring of Honor, keep up with Impact that's now back as TNA. And there's a lot of stuff going on, man. 2024 is an insane year for wrestling. As you're listening, if you're listening right now, it is Wrestlemania week. It is a disgusting amount of content that we're gonna have going this week as far as watching what's going on. So it's going to be a really interesting thing. But getting back to some of the core principles, I guess, of this podcast, if you're listening, I'm hoping you're going to get something out of it as we go along. We have some men's issues that we're going to focus on, but a lot of it really is going to be a lot of interaction. I want to be able to create a group of men in this community that if you're going through something difficult, if you're not feeling at 100%, let's say today I've got 40%, you reach out to the Ringside Culture Podcast, sit down, and hopefully we can give you whatever it is that you're missing as far as bringing up your mood, bringing up your self-esteem, bringing up how you feel. I want an open dialogue, open Discord, open conversation with you guys as you start adding yourselves on to this movement. It's going to be a big thing for me. It's not just for you to me, it's for me to you. Life is a roller coaster when you're a man. I think I don't think I know, because I feel it and I live it. There's a pressure to be the provider, to be the protector, to be someone who gives a level of security. But there isn't really a role of anyone in life to give that back to a guy. So it's a very lonely thing sometimes to be a family man, a responsible boyfriend, husband, father. And it's not easy. It's something that is a daily grind. Something that you have to pivot from left to right, right to left, make adjustments. But we're going to get into a lot of that stuff as we go along. Today, though, what I really want to go through is I'm going to throw out some of the hot topics that are currently, hitting the scene from wrestling, let's say in the last few months, and definitely this week for WrestleMania week. I'm going to put out some of my opinions. I'm hoping some of you guys respond back. You agree, you disagree, you neutral, you see it a different way. I'm going to fantasy book like crazy because I love it. But it's going to be something where I really just want to be able to put in everything that I have in here and in here, and hopefully you guys receive it with open arms and an open ear to join in the conversation and interact with me. I'm looking forward to what this is going to bring. So first things first, man. 2024 We have CM Punk back in the WWE. We have Cody Rhodes back in the WWE. We have The Rock back in the WWE. Three huge megastars who've got really no real need or business coming back to the WWE when they did, with the exception of maybe Cody Rhodes, because he definitely has a story to finish. But everyone else, I think, they have a life that is comfortable, secure, plentiful. But as we're going to get talking, there's such a complexity to what fulfills men in 2024 that even somebody like The Rock, who has everything from companies to products to brands to movie deals, there's still always a missing piece of the puzzle that completes you. And in this particular case, we share that passion of wrestling with them. So that's what makes them kind of a big deal for us. But heel Rock is a smash, I think. I believe that the transitions and the people that have been put in place since the exit of Vincent Kennedy McMahon, which I think that's definitely a topic that we're going to touch on specifically and spend a great deal on, because it's disheartening to see a man of such legacy and power make such drastic missteps to sink a legacy that he worked his entire life to build. And, it's inexcusable, obviously, for so many reasons, but it is, I can see it. Hot take. Women sometimes and men sometimes in relationships, they stop providing or caring about what the other person needs in the relationship. It's one of those, I got them. They're my boyfriend, they're my girlfriend, they're my husband, they're my wife. There's no feeling anymore. You lose that feeling of, I have to earn their love. I have to earn their respect and their care, and their presence and their commitment. Sometimes men get into this space of work, and do, and women as well get into this work, do. They go through life, and it's so much stress and so much responsibility to take care of your kids, to love on your kids, to spend time with your kids, to pay the bills, that as those things who are such crucial parts of life start to overpower everything else, you start to forget the details of making both your husband and your wife, or your wife, your boyfriend or your girlfriend, feel special, feel loved, feel cared for, feel supported. It's not always, but it does happen. I've experienced it myself in relationships where I just feel like, I give more than I get. And it's taxing. It makes you feel kind of used, less than, and there's not a lot that you can do about it, because at the end of the day, it is our job as men um, to provide, and under that space of providing, there's not a lot of leeway for compassion. We're just expected to do, and so um, I say that to say that it's, in my opinion, sometimes possible for someone at the level of Vince McMahon to see himself in a position where he lacks or doesn't have something that he wants or needs out of a relationship, like with his wife or a new girlfriend, if he chose to have a new girlfriend. And power, absolute power corrupts. So when he's missing something so basic and so necessary, but he has this absolute power to pretty much do whatever he wants because of the money and status that he has, he falls into a situation where he gets a taste of being able to get what he's missing by using his power and his money and his influence. And when he sees that he can get away with that, then he takes it up to another level, and it just keeps going up and up and up until a point where you start doing things that it just, you don't even recognize yourself when you read back and you look back and you think back on, wow, did I really say that? Did I really do that? So it's disheartening to see someone like Vince McMahon have his legacy tarnished by something like that. So we'll get into it in a full episode. Let me know if that's something that you guys agree with, sometimes you want to talk about. But getting back to professional wrestling, man, the card is stacked this year for Wrestlemania. I'm beyond excited. Obviously, Cody, I'm a big Cody fan. I was confused by the move that they made early on to try to get The Rock into that space for the main event with Roman Reigns. Obviously, the backlash and the reaction and the "We Want Cody" trending for days and everything that came with it had them nudge us back on track. But for me, I was of the very basic traditional wrestling confusion where I'm like, wait a minute, the winner of the Royal Rumble gets to select their champion to main event WrestleMania. So why are we now all of a sudden, screw that? Nope, Roman is going against Rock because we said so. So that was a situation that I think was kind of destined to fail because they are infringing on a very basic concept in professional wrestling, where the Royal Rumble winner is destined for main eventing WrestleMania. That being said, with 2 nights of WrestleMania, I think it is I don't want to say a diss or a knock, but it is definitely a smudge on their record for women's wrestling, because the women's Royal Rumble winner will not likely main event either night of WrestleMania. And so that's gone extremely understated. I believe Bayley and Io in general have been understated and pushed aside for bigger personalities and bigger superstars like the Rhea Ripley's, Becky Lynch's, and Bianca Belair's, and Jade Cargill even. They're definitely putting a lot more attention when it comes to the damage control situation on the new three Avengers of Belair, Cargill, and Naomi versus Damage Control than the WWE Championship match between Bayley and Io Sky, which is literally the core story for Damage Control. I'm hoping this week on SmackDown we get a merger of the two sides to make this make sense. I'm crossing my fingers that they do the right thing and they allow Bayley to main event WrestleMania on either night. I don't foresee it happening anymore because they did add that tag team between Rock, Roman, Seth, and Cody on night one. I understand why that's a main event caliber match, but the wrestling purist in me really just feels that's the purpose of the Royal Rumble winner, so I'm not too thrilled with that. But the rest of the match card, I think the only one that I would say is kind of meh so far, and we'll see what happens this Friday on SmackDown, is the Styles versus LA Knight, as well as the Pride versus the Final Testament. So we're going to have to wait and see. We're really going to have to wait and see what those card additions bring to the table. Obviously, insane superstars. AJ Styles can't probably have a bad match if he tried. Guys like Karrion Kross, Bobby Lashley, the Prophet, the Street Profits, and even Akam Razar, the Authors of Pain, are all really strong talent that have put together badass matches. So I don't foresee them having a bad match. I'm just not as invested in the story as I'd like to be. So that makes it a little bit of a meh. We'll see. But everything else, I mean, on the card, I'm glad that they're keeping the Andre the Giant Battle Royal on SmackDown. I believe that the Intercontinental match is going to be a killer. I think the whole Sammy and Chad Gable interaction of Chad jumping on and being his Mickey in an almost Rocky story to go after Gunther is sick. Selfishly, I'd like to wait and see on Gunther. I'd like to see him walking into the event in Germany as champion. Not to say that he can't walk in without the title to face someone like a Drew McIntyre or a Cody Rhodes for either one of the world titles at an event like that. But there's something to be said about his reign and him taking that Intercontinental Championship to another continent, to his home continent, and defending it. I like that story. I think it's really kind of refreshing. And yeah, it's going to be a really neat thing. I mean, if I've forgotten like another major match, it's because hey, it's a big card. I think it's 7 on one night, 6 on the other. We can look up the match card and kind of go through it if that's the case. But it's just a great time to be a professional wrestling fan in general, and be able to enjoy wrestling from so many different perspectives. Now, when it comes to the tribalism, I don't really subscribe to the tribalism of, oh, this sucks or that sucks versus better versus that's better. What I do find is the professionalism overall. It translates into the matches and the products and the storyline. Oh my God, how could I forget? Jay versus Jimmy, Uso versus Uso, Blood versus Blood. My 3-year-old is a huge Jay Uso fan. We about the yeet in this household. And he's a Roman Reigns fan. Gotta give it what it is. He acknowledges his tribal chief, as do I. But he's also a big Cody fan. He's got a big Cody plush that he plays with all the time. So it's an interesting, cool thing to be a dad and have a son who really enjoys what we're doing, what they're doing. Six-pack ladder match is going to be spectacular. I do believe that, in my opinion, we're going to get some sort of surprise, either entrant tag team or replacement tag team. It doesn't feel like the match is set in stone. If I were to guess, I would say Austin Theory and Grayson Waller will in some way get the boot, because A-Town Down, out of all of them, is the one that really aren't really a tag team. They just, they got put together a few months ago and have done a great job within there. But I believe Austin Theory and Grayson Waller both are destined to be single stars. Tag team is not really where they need to be. And they just added the Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee versus Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio. I think it's going to be an interesting match if they incorporate the faction warfare and possibly the added ingredient of I don't want to say a betrayal but a decision from Andrade on where he stands. Is he really lining himself up with Dominic Mysterio, even though there's that seemingly long forgotten tension from Dominic's interactions with Andrade's wife, Charlotte? Or is he going to side with Rey Mysterio, someone who he's obviously admired for a long time, and Dragon Lee, someone he's very familiar with? But that first introduction between Santos and Andrade was a little strange, I will say. It's going to be an interesting match to go through, but that's actually the whole of night one. Night one is Rock, Roman, Cody, Seth Rollins, Rhea Ripley, and Becky Lynch, which I think, in my opinion, is going to steal the show that night. Gunther and Sammy, Jay and Jimmy, the six-pack challenge, the SmackDown Avengers versus Damage Control, and then Mysterio and Lee versus Santos and Escobar. Santos and Dominic. Now, night two currently is a short card, and this is where I feel they're going to be adding some at least one or two more matches, I think, to the night two card. At the moment, it's just Roman and Cody, Seth and Drew, Io Sky Bailey, Logan Paul, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens. I'm very excited for this match. I think it would be a killer heel move for Logan Paul somehow to sneak and snake his way out of WrestleMania against superstars the caliber of Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, and retain his title. Do I think it's going to happen? Yes, because event coming up in Ohio, I think is going to be a very heavy Logan Paul event, and he's going to have a lot of presence on that show, so it's going to be a big thing for him to walk in there. But I think the Randy Orton, Kevin Owens add such a huge level of excitement to the match. LA Knight and AJ Styles, I believe, are going to tear the house down, have a great match, but I'm not invested in their story. Same thing with the Pride and Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits versus the Final Testament of Karrion Kross and the Authors of Pain, which are Akam and Rezar. This is the fifth time a WrestleMania has been held over the course of 2 nights, and it can be argued that the WWE is set to deliver its most stacked card yet, but I do believe that there are some holes. There's going to be some surprises, and I'm just excited for what this year's WrestleMania is going to encompass. This is going to be it for our intro episode for this podcast. I appreciate you guys listening in. Check us out down in the comments on social media and comments on our podcast pages. We're going to be available on Spotify and a few other platforms. But it's going to be an exciting time for us to put our opinion out there, and I'm excited to see what you guys think of it. For now, this is the Branding Brain J signing off from the Ringside Culture Podcast. Take care, y'all.